Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Moron with Silva. Guys, I could explain the reason for the absence of last week. I fell asleep. Flat out. There really is no excuse for why there was no podcast that I could drum up to tell you why there was no show last week, other than the truth is the fact that I had fallen asleep on recording day. It wasn't planned. Yeah, I swear I was going to absolutely record the podcast last week, but I had just fallen asleep. There really is no other explanation. And then when I woke up, I'm like, well, I am out of time. I don't have any time right now to do it. And you know what? That's on me. That is my fault. I will take that blame. I will take the fall for that. I will, whatever it takes, All I know is I am somebody that is extremely hard on myself when it comes to things that I have to do / perform. So I will be better. I will not miss another show unless it's absolutely needed to miss. If it's like an emergency or something that, is out of my control, then yeah, sure, I will miss a podcast. But in a case of where I just happen to fall asleep / run out of time / really have no time to do it, other things get in the way, that will not happen again as long as I live. I can pretty much almost tell you that that's going to be 100% true, but you never really know. But in the case of this past week that went by and there was no show, I do apologize from the bottom of my heart. I owe it to you guys. There really is no excuse. It's just I am deeply sorry. I apologize. I do think that it was, believe me, it hurt me a lot more than I think it would have hurt you guys. Trust me. When I had woken up from when I was supposed to record, after I was supposed to record, I was like, oh my God, I don't have any time. That was my window and I missed it. So I apologize. I want to make it up to you guys. So this is going to be a pretty chocked full episode, if I can at least just to tease the contents of this. I mean, this is essentially I'm making up for 2 weeks of no show. So a lot has happened within these past 2 weeks. A lot of things happening to me, happening to the world, a lot of things that you don't really see often in the world that happened in the past few days in the course of over a week in which there has been no episode. So hey, we got some catching up to do as an audience and as a fan base, and for me to deliver the most best content that I could possibly deliver, but a lot happened. I kind of want to start off with things that are new to me, that shouldn't be new to me, that have been around for a while, many years, but I am just getting around to it because I really had no interest in getting this, but I just I said, why not? Let's give it a shot. I had tried an acai bowl for the first time in my life. Now, if you were to see me and if you knew what I was about, who I am as a person, you would probably think that this guy would never, ever eat an acai bowl. And you would be correct. Up until this point in my life, I've never once had an acai bowl. I realized and I noticed like maybe about 4 years ago when I first saw them on social media, they were all the craze, they were all the buzz. People were talking about acai bowls like it was like a new, like a brand new, well, it was at the time brand new, but it was like something that had opened up a gate to heaven. Like, it was just so, different, so good at the same time that people didn't really know how to react to it besides just posting it on social media all the time. I remember those posts all the time. Now, if you don't know what an acai bowl is, I guess you can call it like a type of dessert that is, a bowl or like a big cup, however they really prepare it, but it's got like some kind of fruit type, like almost like ice cream textured substance, and that's like the base of it, and then it's got like a bunch of fruit inside that bowl as well. Mine had strawberries, blueberries, and sliced bananas, and it also had some granola, and it was drizzled on the top with some Nutella. I'm pretty sure that's all I had in it. I know that you were able to get it with Nutella or like peanut butter. I went with the Nutella, and I like Nutella. I like blueberries. I like strawberries. I like granola. I've never had the cold substance of what is in the acai bowl. I don't even know what exactly it's called. At first, I thought it was like frozen yogurt, but I'm like, I'm not really much of a yogurt guy. That's not really my type of thing. Like, I'm a type of guy who's like, ice cream is like my favorite type of dessert that you can get like that. I'm a huge ice cream guy. I'm not a frozen yogurt guy, and I sure as hell was not an acai bowl guy either. But once I had the acai bowl with all the ingredients in it and it prepared, and let me just be clear, it's like a pretty hefty amount of fruit and stuff in there. They don't skimp out on you when you ask for an acai bowl. It's pretty, it's a pretty generous amount of food that's in there. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go for it. So I just decided I got my spoon, just jammed it in there, got a bunch of everything, put it in my mouth, started chewing, and I was like, oh my God, this is actually pretty good. In a way, like, it was like refreshing. It like was like sweet, so it was like, it was like craving that sweetness that you wanted, and it was just like, also like it felt healthy too, with all the fruit in there. And I was actually pleasantly surprised on how good an acai bowl was. I'm not even kidding. Like, it was something that was actually a bit mind opening. Like, there could be something out there that is as good as an acai bowl, how good it tastes. And it could also be at the same time refreshing, but also a healthier option, full of energy, full of like, probiotic with the blueberries and the fruit and all that, and just be a healthier option for you, and also giving you a little bit of carbohydrates with the granola and stuff like that, and the sweetness with the Nutella. In my case, like, I was actually pleasantly surprised on how good that acai bowl was. I gotta say, like, being somebody who was never really, going to try it in the first place, who looked at it when it was first coming out, like, that is not for me. Like, I'm a pretty basic guy, but I can tell you this, like, I already know that is just not something that I would eat. And lo and behold, I was wrong as hell. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because I will be getting more acai bowls in the future. I mean, they're that good. I wasn't really sure how to pronounce it either, because it's spelled in a funky way. It's spelled Acai. So I'm like thinking Acai, when I first saw it. But then people started to type it out in the correct font, the correct language. And I believe it's like of Brazilian origin, the word and the dessert as well. So it's not just a regular English C. It's a Brazilian C, with a little squiggly at the bottom of the C. So it's got a little bit of a different pronunciation. So I'm like, oh, that kind of makes sense of why they call it that. I mean, you just, as somebody who speaks and reads and, listens to only in English, like, I don't know what that funny little C sounds like or what that means. I have no idea. I know it's a different language, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that means or what that is. I mean, I'm a Mexican guy, so like I've studied Spanish and I've taken Spanish in high school, and the C's don't have that funny thing on there. We have like little squiggles above N's and little dashes over A's and stuff like that, but like a squiggle underneath the C, I never seen that before. So that was like a new thing for me. Like, is that what it's like really called? Are you pronouncing it correct? But it was never something that I ever talked about or ever wanted, so I never really had to, make sure I was saying it correctly, And I would be like, people I knew like never really got acai bowls even that much for me to it even be in my vocabulary or my knowledge to like, hey, what is that? I just went about my life not knowing what that was or what it was all about. If you get me on that. But pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I think if you never had it before, if you're somebody like me who does not like to jump on trends, especially with food. Now, I'm a food guy. I really am. But I'm also very cautious about the food that I eat. I don't love trying new things for the first time. It's a little nerve-wracking. It's a little scary to me, not because I don't want to, I don't want it to not like it, but it's like I don't want to not like it and having to pay for it. Like I paid for this thing that I'm trying out. I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. So in my eyes, I'm like, well, if I know I'm not going to, if I think that I might not enjoy whatever it is, I don't want to buy it. It's just that like, smart consumer mindset that's in my brain that whenever something like that arises in my life, I just don't want to really try it out. I don't want to test the waters. It's not something that I'm game for. I'm not that adventurous, I guess you can say would be like the way to put it, I mean, don't get me wrong. I should have known I would have liked it, I mean, whatever type of ice cream substances in there was good. The granola was good. I'm a big fruit guy. I love strawberries. I love bananas. I love blueberries. I mean, I should have known that it was going to be a surefire hit with me, because how much of a fruit guy that I am. So, all in all, the acai bowl was a success, Now, I might try it with peanut butter, but I gotta say the Nutella was pretty. With the Nutella, it was pretty blissful, I should say, because once that Nutella flavor kind of creeps in with the rest of the stuff in there, it's like, oh, that ain't half bad. It's a pleasant surprise. Because they don't like absolutely drench the whole dessert or whatever you would call it, the acai bowl in Nutella. It's just like a little like drizzle on the top. It's not even that much, I would say. At least for mine it wasn't. So, I don't know. I probably would not try, well, never say never. But, frozen yogurt to me would be a bit of a gamble because I already know how much I love ice cream and how much that is like my jam. It's just, I'm an ice cream guy. Ice cream from the home, store-bought at a fast food establishment, Cold Stone, Baskin Robbins, bowl, cup. I like ice cream. That's just what I like. But yeah, acai bowl's pretty damn good. I mentioned that there was a lot of fruit in them, which I love, but I keep forgetting. Well, I don't forget that much, but like we are in like the perfect month when it comes to fruit availability and like fruit like just what is available at the time that's being grown in the States. I'm a big fan of summer fruits. Peaches, nectarines, plums, apricots, all the good fruit out there. The good fruit out there is just, to me, just, it reminds me of summer. It tastes good. It looks good. I mean, I just love it so much, right? So right now I'm just killing it with the fruit right now. Peaches, nectarines, plums, apricots. I mean, I'm just killing it. When I see them, I'm just devouring them, like without any hesitation whatsoever. What I've been eating recently, though, and I got this from like some like local farm, like fruit stand, around town. It's these green plums. They're very, very, very small, but they taste amazing. And you would think that when you see a fruit like that, you kind of assume when it's presented to you and it's called like a plum, that it should be like reddish, like purple, right? When you see it look green, you're thinking to yourself like, well, it needs more time on the vine. I think we plucked this thing a little too quick. I don't think it's grown enough. But you take a bite, and I will tell you this, man, the flavor of that plum, the flavor of that juicy flavor, while it's small but mighty, the flavor is just tremendous. Like, there is no, in my experience, and what I love with a good fruit, especially with nectarines, is one, the sweetness, but a little bit of tang. Just a little bit of that tangy tartness that comes with a nectarine that, to me, just kind of, it just screams summer, and it just kind of makes it all better, in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan, and I'll be honest, I might get a little bit of pushback from this, which I'm okay with, but the white nectarines, they ain't my jam. They really ain't they're not for me. I mean, I get it. They look nice, they look good, they can be firm. But to me, the yellow nectarine, in my opinion, it's got that sweetness that's unmatchable. A little bit of that tartness, a little bit of that tang that pushes it over the edge in terms of like flavor of fruit. Like the fruit flavor for me with the nectarine, like a perfect one, is like always a 10, maybe even an 11, right? Peaches too. Peaches can be like that too. I enjoy a peach. California peach is my favorite thing to eat. Well, one of my favorite things to eat. But the nectarine, in my opinion, is an objectively better fruit than the peach. Just because I'm big, with fruit, I don't really. So like with fruit texture, when it comes to a peach, I prefer it to be firmer, because when it's firmer, I feel like, to me, it's more riper. And when it's riper, it's going to be sweeter. Once it's kind of getting mushy, not saying it's all the time, but like it begins to lose a little bit of its sweetness most of the times, in my experience of eating peaches and nectarines as well. It just kind of loses the flavor, and it just starts to taste old and not as sweet. And I'm like, nah, not for me. Now, if it was the other way around, where the mushier the peach, the better it tastes, I would be like, I love mushy peaches. I'd eat those all the time. But it's not. I've eaten a lot of fruit in my life, and I know when fruit is good. Like when, like the texture of it, like this is going to be good, or this is going to be bad. Now, unfortunately, I've also had a lot of fruit that doesn't taste like anything. Trial and error. I'm a fruit guy, so I eat fruit a lot. I can either be, I could love it, or I could be disappointed. I've had it both ways. I've had apples that look and feel amazing, but taste like crap. I've had peaches that are mushy and a little bit like maybe on the older side that taste amazing. So, it goes both ways. But I have noticed that, with these fruits and, just what I prefer. I prefer a firmer fruit than a softer one. And trust me, when I was looking at these little plums, these green plums, when I saw them for the first time in my life, I'm like, y'all, these ain't ready yet. They still green. But then it's like, no, this is how it's supposed to be eaten. And I'm like, you sure? So I took a bite and I'm like, God damn, this flavor is unbelievable. I was just like, damn, I need like 40 of these. They're so tiny. They were so small. I'm like, I could eat like legit like 40 or 50 of these right now. Like, no cap. I mean, this could go down the hatch easily, like without any question. Like, no hesitation either. Like, this is too easy for me. This is the only time. This is why I love summer, right? A fruit guy like me gets the ultimate like variety of fruit that comes out during the summer. I mean, you can't get fruit like this anywhere. I know they sell peaches and nectarines year round, right? I know other countries grow them as well. We get them from other countries, and there's this thing called a equator that divides the country, the planet, right, to the northern and the southern hemisphere, I believe is what it's called. I don't know. But usually when it's winter here, it's summer in South America, and we get a lot of fruit from South America during those times. But I will say the local farmers around here, right, the grown from California farms, the fruit from California farms, it just tastes better. I'm sorry, it just does. It really does. Moving on, though, to another realization, and it's not really a realization, but it's more of I used my brain, finally, and it saved me so much time. So a lot of you guys might know, but I am a huge fan of coffee. I really like coffee. Big time. It's one of my favorite drinks to consume, especially black coffee. Recently, it's been my jam. It is me. I am black coffee. I have ascended to the black coffee hierarchs. I am a part of that now. I used to be a cream and sugar guy. One day, ran out of cream, only used sugar. I'm like, you know what? This ain't half bad. And then little by little, I decided, you know what? Maybe less sugar would be better. Because I used to put a lot. 1 cup, I swear to you, I used to put like 2 spoonfuls of sugar. I ain't even kidding. No cappuccino there. I did it. And I was like, you know what? This is good. But then I decided, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be having so much sugar in my coffee. Let's try it with maybe 1 teaspoon of sugar, or tablespoon, whatever you call it. I think I said tablespoon. How about 1 tablespoon, right? So I did that. And I'm like, you know what? What if I go a little bit less? Less than that. And I did less. And then one day I'm just like, you know what? Let's go full throttle on this baby. Let's go full throttle, no sugar, no cream, and only black coffee. And I fell in love with black coffee. I'm drinking it right now as we speak. And I'm not drinking any regular hot coffee. No. I'm drinking an iced coffee. And you know what? It's delicious. I mean, I'm not going to drink a hot coffee on a summer day. In broad daylight. I'm just not going to do that, while it be warm. Now, that brings me to my realization and me actually using my brain and actually benefiting myself by using my brain and spending some money. You want to know what that is? I decided to buy Starbucks iced coffee. Not from Starbucks themselves, which I do on occasion, but I'm talking about from the grocery store. They sell bottles of Starbucks iced cold coffee that you can keep in your refrigerator and pour into a cup with ice, and bada bing, bada boom, you got a nice chilled iced coffee. Now, of course, I take it black, so I have no issue there. I love it. But my realization and me using my brain, it saved me a lot of time, because before, when it would be hot and I wanted a cup of coffee, because I don't like energy drinks, I don't like all these other drinks that are supposed to be for energy. I'm just not a fan of them. Sorry, not sorry, but that's just who I am. I would, in the past, brew a K cup of coffee, right? A K cup full of coffee, and I would let it sit on my counter for a bit, and then I would put it in the fridge for a bit more till it was cold enough where I could put some ice in the cup and have an iced coffee. That's what I used to do. And that would, cost a lot of time. That would be wasting a lot of time just to get my coffee to be iced coffee temperature, right? And now, all I gotta do is spend a little bit more money, and I can just have the coffee in the fridge all the time, pour it in a glass of ice, and be chilled consistently, and not have to worry about, having to brew a K cup full of coffee and have it wait for a decent amount of time for it to cool down, and have a fresh iced coffee like that. Now I just pour it into my cup with ice, and there we go, iced coffee. That's what I like to call using your brain, which I don't do a whole lot. I mean, I really should, and I try to, but there's just some things where I like to sit on it and be like, no, my way's better. And in a way it is, right? This bottle of coffee, iced coffee, cost me about $7.50. Now, I live in California, so it might be cheaper where you live. But you can only imagine, how I'm feeling if that's a high price for you, right? Well, Alex, why would you do that? Why would you? Your method was tried and true, right? Think about this. All I had to do was wait, and I could have a nice coffee. I already buy the K-Cups. It's part of my routine. It's part of my budget. That's what I do, right? I am a coffee drinker. That is just what I do. I'm already, I'm already subscribed to that lifestyle. I have no issue with that. So why would I abandon my ways and buy something that, one, is going to cost me more money on my grocery list than I normally buy? Two, your method was decent enough. It was passable, right? It was plausible. It worked. It was fine. Why'd you switch? I'm not getting any younger. I don't want to have to wait for my iced coffee. I don't want to. Sometimes I want to treat myself. If I want an iced coffee right here, right now, and I don't want to have to wait about a good 20 minutes for the coffee to cool. Now, of course, I never really waited for it to become ice cold when I would brew it, right? I would let it get to warm-ish around there, and then I would put it on ice. But even at that point, the ice melted way too quickly. It just did. It melted way too quickly, and it watered down my coffee, which I was just like, you know what? I deserve better than that. What does the grocery store have that can make my life a lot easier? Now, of course, me being a dummy that I am, I thought that you had to buy a cold brew machine, brew the coffee that way, and then put it in the fridge, and then boom, there's my iced coffee whenever I want it. Turns out you can just buy coffee already cold from the store. I didn't know that until I was strolling around like, oh, look at this. They sell coffee like this? I could just have an iced coffee whenever the hell I want? Yes, please. Sign me up. I really got to take a little bit of appreciation to Starbucks when we talk about iced coffee, because iced coffee is something that is truly revolutionary in our time. I mean, I drink both hot and iced coffee, but let me tell you this. We get summer in California. We get actual hot summer. That doesn't stop the grind. That doesn't stop the grind. And I want a coffee. And it's a little warm. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to get a hot cup of coffee. I'm going to have an iced one. And let me just say this, too, also. I don't think that we would have had iced coffee without Starbucks. I remember the first time I ever saw an iced coffee ever, it was in a Starbucks cup. Like, I cannot recall a time in my life where I had seen, for the first time in my existence, where I did not see an iced coffee in a Starbucks cup for the first time. I mean, I never saw it anywhere else. No coffee shop made it like that. No diner, no restaurant, no Denny's, IHOP. I never had ever seen it like that. I never seen it like that from McDonald's before. I never saw it from Jack in the Box, any other fast food place, or anywhere you can get a coffee on the go. It was always hot until Starbucks came along. And then you saw with that Starbucks logo in that clear plastic cup, a dark liquid in it. And I'm like, wait, does Starbucks sell soda? Is that Coca-Cola in that Starbucks cup? Like, no, that's coffee. I was like, wait, coffee's hot. They're like, yeah, but it's also cold. And I was like, no shit. For real? Like, yeah. And it's good too. Couldn't believe it. It was revolutionary at the time. It was. And then I didn't just see it black, but I saw it, with, a little bit of a tan. That way, you can tell they put some cream, maybe some sugar, and they got fancy. You can put like cold foam on it, caramel drizzle, vanilla flavoring, syrup, make it all fancy, make it good. I mean, hell, I honestly don't think that iced coffee would be as popular as it was if it were not for Starbucks and them essentially creating iced coffee. I know they probably didn't, probably some other genius out there, but the image of iced coffee and you seeing it for the first time being like, oh, that's an option? I didn't even know that. Revolutionary. Now, like, that's all I would ever get really from Starbucks in the summer is just an iced coffee. Like, I'm also not a Frappuccino guy. I don't really care for Frappuccinos because it's too sweet. It's too much like they're just kind of playing to your sweet tooth. Like, here's a Frappuccino. It's kind of like, it kind of looks like a milkshake, but it's not a milkshake. It's coffee still, but very little coffee, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I don't think that iced coffee would be as popular as it was today without Starbucks. Because I like I said, I cannot think of any place that had iced coffee before Starbucks did. I really can't. I'm trying to think. I'm looking back in time, right, as I speak, and I cannot pinpoint a time where that would have taken off if it weren't for Starbucks. Or the first appearance was Starbucks. It had to have been. There's no way. Anyways, I love iced coffee, and since I bought this, this is my second cup already. Now, I didn't have two today, but I've already had 2 cups. This being my second cup of coffee, and talk about a huge time saver. I have never felt more efficient in my entire life than getting my ice in my cup, pouring the coffee, and then just drinking it like that. I've never felt more efficient in my entire life. I'll be honest. I think that's a win for me. I really do. I think what I did was, 1, I used my brain, and 2, it's called working smarter and not harder, right? Is what I'm going to try to, make the point of. When I was brewing coffee in a K cup and it being piping hot, I had to put in a lot of work for that and a lot of waiting time for it to be at a nice temperature where I can put ice in it. So where it would not, completely melt my ice as soon as it made contact. Trust me, I had to leave it out, leave it in the fridge. That would still take a good chunk of time. Like, now I'm just, I spend a little bit more cash but a lot of reward. A whole lot of reward. So, I mean, I got to say, kudos to myself. I really have truly outdone myself. That's the thing, though, about me, though. I will admit that I was going at this all wrong. I was. What I did before was not efficient, was not very smart, was actually very dumb. Now that I laid it out for you, I would put my cup of coffee in the refrigerator to try to cool it down. Do you think it cooled it down by that much? No, it never did, unless I forgot about it for like 5 hours. Then yeah, but then at that point, what's the point? I mean, I admit, hand up, I was an idiot. But now, I do feel a bit more smarter. And definitely more caffeinated than I was before. So I guess you could say I have upgraded. I've leveled up in terms of my efficiency when it comes to my coffee drinking capabilities in my coffee drinking career. So hey, cheers to me, I guess. I deserve it. By the way, the Starbucks unsweetened black coffee, medium roast, is actually really good. It's got a nice flavor to it. I do feel like I'm more mature when I drink it. Now, obviously, I'm still a person, so I enjoy sugar still. I'm still alive, so I love sugar, right? We all kind of like sugar, right? We do. I do. Even though people like to brag like, I don't eat sugar. I don't eat that. That makes you fat. I don't eat it. You would, though. Like, you would eat it. I eat it. And I'm on a strict diet. And I still eat it. Hell, if my family listens to this, if they do, I just got done. They're destroying these Costco brand macadamia nut clusters. I just had like maybe 8 of them. 8 of them, if you don't know what I'm talking about. There's these things at Costco. They're called, and it's the Kirkland brand, macadamia nut clusters. Each one of them is 110 calories. And I had about 8 of them, which means I had about 900 calories worth of candy. Now, of course, I find that number could be a little off or a little lower or a little above because they're not all the exact same size. So really, are you telling me that this smaller one is the same exact calorie count as this big one? Like, probably not. That's what I hate so much about the calorie sheets on the back of the like food, whatever you have, like hot Cheetos, right? 160 calories for about like 16 chips, right? But what if I got a small bitch ass chip? Like a small one. And then you look at the big one, you're like, well, that one is gonna, if you get, 16 of the exact size of these ones, then you'll add up to 160 calories. But if you get like 30 of like these little smaller ones, then it would be less. Like, I look at that and I'm like, hold on. I mean, like, not all the chips are the same exact size, man. You can't tell me that that's correct. Anyway, that's just like my thing. But yeah, I had 8 of those clusters. 8 of them. I maybe had even more. This to me today was a relapse in my addiction for candy. Now, of course, like I've gone many days without candy. Like, I don't eat candy every single day. Trust me, I don't. I could not. Well, I work out a lot and I burn a lot of calories when I'm at the gym. So, I guess you can kind of say I maintain that pretty well. But still, when I do that, when I sin that hard, when I succumb that strongly, when I fall that far down, when I eat that bad, in my mind, I feel like, damn, I failed hard. That sucked. Why would I do such a thing? It hurts at you. It hurts at my soul for sure. But hey, I can't help it. I love sugar. It's the best. People who say, I don't believe people who don't like sugar. I really don't. Like, come on. Yeah, right. What are you talking about? Sugar is like the most addicted substance like there is. I mean, no matter what it is. I just had, and get this, I had like I had like 8 little of those apricots or plums that I was talking about earlier. I had like 8 of them. So, and that's like considered natural sugar, so it's not as bad as like in a candy, but still not great. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not, like, hey, steak is good for you, but if I have 2 giant steaks in one day, I think that would be a bad thing. I think my arteries might actually clog in that same day. I'm not even kidding you. But hey, I'm just a man, and we're all human, right? We all love sugar as much as people like to deny it or brag like, I don't eat sugar. Sugar is for people who don't have self-control. They abuse it. Like, shut the hell up. Like, come on, be a person for once, It's all about balance, actually. Now that I think about it, like, it really is all about balance. Like, I'm very disciplined on what I eat. I get that. People know that I know. People who know me know that I'm very disciplined on what I eat. People know what I consume. Like at work, I consume the same thing every single day: chicken, rice, a yogurt, and a fruit. That's all I eat. That really is it. And I get roasted on that all the time. That's fine. Hey, I feel good after I eat it. I feel strong. I feel full. I feel energized. Right. But hey, and that's just being disciplined every day for lunch. That's what I eat. But you know what? You need the balance. So what am I going to do? I'm going to kill that. I'm going to work out. And then you know what? I'm going to have like a good amount of candy after, because you need that. It's balance. It's like, you kind of need that. Not saying every day though. I don't do that every day. But when I do, I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'll have a soda. I don't care. I'm a man. Of course I'm going to do what I want. If I want a soda, I'm going to get one. God, I love having that type of freedom. Isn't it just awesome that I could just go anywhere I want to right now and buy what I want? I could go to McDonald's right now and buy a Big Mac if I dreamt of it. I could fulfill that dream right now if I desired to. I could go over to McDonald's right now and buy a Big Mac and crush it in my car. How cool is that? How freaking awesome is that? Where can you do that anywhere else? Nowhere. You can't get you can't get a Big Mac in Italy. No way. Come on. And if you did, it wouldn't taste as good as the one here. And you couldn't eat it in your car while you have AC in your car. Like, come on. And you think that, honestly, do you think that people in Italy who don't have ACs in their house, do you think that they would have AC in their car? Be honest. I think that they wouldn't. Why would they? It's not in their house. It's not in their place of rest and a place where they live. Why would they need it in their car if they're not going to be in their car as long as they are going to be in their house? Right? I'm just stating a fact. Now, I'm not saying it's true. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But they're not going to be in their car more than they are in their house. I just don't think that they will be. But then again, I'm not an expert at the statistics of car time versus home time in the average Italian resident. I'm not. But anyways, though, moving on. A lot happened in the world of politics this past week. I usually don't ever talk about this stuff, but I just gotta say, what happened between Iran, Israel, wild stuff. I will say wild stuff. And us as well. Some wild stuff that you thought, I thought, everybody thought that, holy crap, is war going to break out? And then there was like, no, there's not going to be a war. And then there was a time where it was like, yeah, war's back on, and then no again, the war's back off. If you're somebody who is prone to stress and anxiety and watches the news a lot and watches what's happening and is scared of world politics and geopolitical events and countries fighting each other and, just like on edge all the time about things that are, what's going to happen? Am I going to be affected? Who's affected? Is it going to come my way? Yeah, I mean, like the past 4 or 5 days were pretty nerve-wracking. I mean, I guess you could say, it would be a good word to describe it. But it looks at the moment of this recording, everything seems okay, I guess. I mean, it definitely is something that when you see for the first time and you hear about this type of stuff happening, you're like, oh, hell, is this going to affect me? Is like directly? Am I going to get, is there going to be a draft? Who's going to go fight? Who we sending? Like that type of stuff. Actually kind of, you kind of wander a little bit, you don't really know, exactly why things were done, at least to my knowledge, because I'm not really informed on the news all that much. But you just it's hard to to not react to it when it's something that's like that big, or at least made up to be that big. For sure, I thought that there was going to be a lot more bad stuff coming. Because of that, I mean, whenever you hear like countries or bases, stuff like that getting bombed and being targeted, it's like no matter who's doing it, really, it's like, damn, this is kind of blows. No pun intended, by the way, but this kind of sucks. Like it's just like not like, it's not like something you want to hear, and I don't think that I mean, it's hard. I mean, I would not be cheering for like a country getting bombed. I mean, it's just not like something you cheer for, In those circumstances, it's like something, I guess, has to be done, right? Something has to, happen in order for things to, go in a certain way. It's just like you never want it to be like, oh, we had to blow up stuff to do it. It's like, it's not really a thing that you cheer about. But then again, these decisions that are made about war and conflicts, like those are not really things that I think us personally really have like the, I mean, we I mean, it's just so hard for us to, see different views of that. Really, I mean, it's just like, damn, they got bombed. It's like, but why? It's like, oh, because of this. Like, okay, but was that really the only option? It's like, you would never know. We don't know the circumstances. We don't really know what provoked the bombing. Like, we don't. Probably never going to know either. So it's like, what gives us the right to make the full, the judgment call, or us judge the call that was made? I mean, I don't know. It's just that's how I view it. It's like, damn, I mean, there must have been a good enough reason for the bombing to happen. I wonder what that was. And then you're like, well, you're probably never going to know. It's like, well, damn, then how do I make an opinion? Well, you shouldn't. Well, it's like, okay, all right, I guess, they did what they had to be done, I guess. I don't know. But hey, as of right now, I think there's no conflict yet. I think there's a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. So at the moment of this recording, I think everything's okay, at least. I mean, the way that these countries just bomb each other is just insane to me. It's just like, oh my God. Pure hatred between these countries. Like, damn. I understand that there's like, a defense, defending each other, but it's like, holy shit, why? It's like, Jesus Christ, like there was supposed to be a ceasefire. Then I guess one of the countries like said, nah, the hell with that, and just like threw all their bombs. Like, whoa, why are you doing this? What's going on? Pretty wild, I will say. It wasn't like too deep and buried into my head, like what's gonna happen. But I definitely was thinking like, this is probably not a good thing to happen. I mean, this is definitely, sounds like a very not good thing that's happening right now. Very unfortunate. That's exactly what I thought. At least like the sane person would be like, yeah, this sucks. This is not good. But at least now, from what I can tell, it's over, I think. Then again, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it could start up again in an hour after I record this thing, so I have no idea for sure. But it has been quite the ride. I will say that. I just hope that this ceasefire, this so-called peace in the Middle East actually, lasts and there's no more conflict because, I mean, come on. The conflicts in the Middle East are just like crazy. It draws so many people involved from other parts of the world into it. It's like, because we want to help each other out, we want to be, we want to empathize with people. We want to help them out. We don't want to see people struggle. We want to, if people are truly hurting, then it's like, we got to help them out, But at the same time, it's like, damn, I mean, like, this is just, it's happening way too much. It's like, do I help you all the time? If you're going to be helped and then you're going to bomb, and if we help you, then you're going to bomb them. It's like, guys, what the hell are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why are we continuing to freaking shoot at each other? What's the point? Then you're just questioning yourself like, well, why even bother? Why bother? It's because it's the right thing to do. To help each other out. It is. Objectively, it's the right thing to do to help each other out. But if the other person is just, no matter who it is like, nah, F that. I betray you. It's like, damn, what the hell's the point? Then it becomes, it's just like, we're just wasting resources at that point. And then we all look like fools, So that was some geopolitics, just like kind of my viewpoint of it. Being just a regular dude that lives in the U.S., that's how I viewed it. It was just like, whoa, this is all happening very fast. And a lot is happening all at once. And a lot is changing all at once. But, seems like everything's going to be okay for now. In a little bit of a lighter tone, the Oklahoma City Thunder won the NBA Finals, beating the Indiana Pacers in 7 games with a bit of an asterisk, I will say. Now, I caught the end of this game. Didn't catch the whole thing because I was working out. But the fact that Tyrese Halliburton went down in the fourth quarter, torn Achilles. I mean, OKC was really good, but Indiana also was really good. Indiana lost their guy. Granted, he wasn't playing his best in this series. I'll give him that. But, I can't say it would have been that easy of a, in the end, win. I know that they kind of came back in like the early fourth quarter, kind of challenged them a little bit, but never really got there. They just, the Thunder kind of kept them at bay. If they had Tyrese Halliburton, it would have been a lot, I wouldn't have said easier, but it might have given them a little bit more of a run for their money for sure. But, the way I see it, OKC won, but they have like a little bit of a reason why they won. Tyrese Halliburton going down. Now, I kind of knew that this injury was going to happen. Whenever there's something to do with calf type injury, calf strain, calf injury, calf soreness, I've watched a lot of sports, so I know that kind of leads to Achilles because it's just connected to the same part. The calf connects to the Achilles. The calf is not being utilized properly. The Achilles is probably going to have a tough time keeping up. Now, I'm no doctor, right? But from what I viewed, at least in sports, the calf usually leads to the Achilles. That's normally how it goes. So the fact that this happened, I was talking with some coworkers, like, is this guy going to play? It's like, he should play, but I'm telling you, like, he's going to get hurt. This is a calf injury. He's not going to give up, and if he doesn't give up, he's going to injure it. And sure, lo and behold, he did. And then we saw him try to make a move, and you saw it, and I saw it one time, that Achilles pop, and he goes straight down on the move that always gets him, trying to just push off that foot. Boom, Achilles gone. It's terrible to see. I saw it one time, but I'm at the age now where, like, stuff like that, to me, it's not, like, disgusting, but it's like, I don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to see his tendon, like his Achilles snap. That to me is icky and like chilling and goosebumps. Like, not in a good way either. It's like bad. So, I mean, the OKC Thunder, they won their first championship in franchise history. With a good team, I will give them that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso. They're a good team. They were, like the best team in the league by far. Maybe not by that much, but they definitely were the best team remaining, for sure. There were some games where you thought, like, maybe they're not that great, but then other games in this series were like, yeah, they're the best for sure. And again, Tyrese Haliburton going down, kind of a little bit of a question mark. Like, what if he did not go down? Would the Indiana Pacers would win? Would the OKC Thunder won by a smaller margin? Like, I don't know. It's just like, sucks because it wasn't like, it went to game 7, but not really going the distance, if that makes any sense. Olympian Noah Lyles will not race Tyreek Hill. Called off the race. Now, I am an avid viewer of the Olympics. When they're on, I'll watch them. But I will not watch sprinting in my downtime, like when it's not an Olympic year. I probably should, because it's probably really good and fun to watch, but I just don't. But I know who Noah Lyles is. It's like the fastest American that we have right now. And Tyreek Hill is a very, very, very fast NFL wide receiver. I think it's kind of a little bit of a bitch move when Noah Lyles pulls out of a race against an NFL wide receiver. Listen, I've seen DK Metcalf run really fast on the football field and then him get blown out in an actual, race. I've seen it happen. Will Tyreek Hill be fast on the football field and then just slow on the track? I'm guessing Noah Lyles thinks that he probably is not. I'm guessing he thinks that Tyreek Hill is pretty damn fast and might actually beat Noah Lyles, leading to him canceling that race. That's just what I'm thinking. Now, I could be wrong, but, it could have actually been, the reasons that he stated. But I don't know. I just feel like a race like that, like with the publicity and who's going to be watching, probably not that many people, but definitely probably live, forever online, that he did not want to be beaten. Witness being beaten by an NFL wide receiver. I understand that. I get that for sure. But still, to me, it was just like, back in the day when Hasbulla was going to fight Abdu Rozik. And it's like, I want to see that. And it never happened. That's kind of like what this is like. It's like, I would like to see Noah Lyles race Tyreek Hill. But now they just called it off. It's like, and they were going to do it, but then they called it off. Or Noah called it off. So it's like, man. I mean, that would have been cool. That would have been really cool to see, but you probably chickened out. You thought you were going to lose. So, I mean, I guess you can't lose to an NFL wide receiver when you're a professional sprinter, even though you might lose, Last thing, before I get out of here, it was pretty much confirmed by Aaron Rodgers that this will be his final year in the NFL. with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which to me is sad, but also kind of an attention-grabbing way of saying this is my final year, which, if he says is going to happen, if it does end up being this way, then we can't say that he did not, lie to us. I should have known, when I kind of did know, that when it was a 1-year deal with the Steelers, that, he's an older quarterback, he's 40 plus, usually older quarterbacks look for a place in a contract that's multi-year. That way they can live there with their families and their loved ones. This being a 1-year deal in Pittsburgh just kind of screamed at me like maybe this might be it. Now, on the Pat McAfee show a few days ago, he did say that this is going to be his final year. Along the lines of that. I'm paraphrasing, but that this might be it. Or this is it, one of the two. In that case, I'm sad because Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback of my football watching generation. And he is going to be retiring possibly this year, which means I will be losing a quarterback of my football viewing generation. Now, I consider my football viewing generation when I first started loving watching football, which was back in, I believe, 7th or 8th grade. That's when, as a man, when you develop, you become like, you fall in love with sports watching. If you can't play it, you watch it. And that's when I kind of fell in love with it. And that's when I started to watch it a lot. And it only became even more, watching more of it as I advanced in my age. And at that time period in my life, Aaron Rodgers was a prominent quarterback. He was one of the best quarterbacks out there. Probably the best in most years. And to see him potentially going to be his last year this year is sad. Because, one, he's old. That also means that I'm old. And seeing guys like that go through the NFL, and then now we're going to be retired from the NFL. Whew, that is a tough pill to swallow, gentlemen. That is tough. I had witnessed a lot of quarterbacks in my football watching career. In my football watching life, I've seen a lot of quarterbacks take the field for the first time. And now I'm seeing more and more of the quarterbacks that I grew up watching, that I grew up rooting for, liking, hating, drafting on my fantasy team, begin to go away. That's very sad as a man to see that happen. It was, Drew Brees, when he retired, that shook me. When Peyton Manning retired, that also shook me. Seeing Cam Newton come into the league and then leave the league shook me to my core. I saw him play his final game at Auburn, beating Oregon, and I saw him play his first rookie game with Carolina. And then I saw him call retirement. That hit me hard. It really did. And talking about it is actually making me a little emotional. And now I think that this is going to be the final year of Aaron Rodgers, which means that he's going to be like the last of my football watching generation quarterbacks. When Eli Manning retired, that hit me hard too. That was a emotional day. Emotional. Yeah. It's kind of tough, actually. It's tough to see how such great men were so good at what they did, and then as years went on, they got older. They got, and then they couldn't do it anymore. It's crazy to see that. It's crazy when you think about it that way. You're only allowed so much time in this life and in the NFL. And once you do what you can for however long that you can, once you're done with it, once you can no longer do it, it's over. You just kind of hang it up, and then the franchise and then the league moves on. And for the most part, for Aaron Rodgers and his class of quarterbacks, they already have moved on. They're on to Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, those guys, Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. And then coming into this quarterback class, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, like these guys are barely going to start their NFL careers. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels is going to be their second year in the NFL. So you got to appreciate these things in life. You really do, because you don't know how long you're going to have them for. As much as I liked and hated Aaron Rodgers and thought he was the best, and then absolutely times couldn't stand him, like that's part of my life. Part of my life. That was part of my life that I will never forget when Aaron Rodgers was in the NFL. It's tough to see that. It really is. It's just something about it that makes a man cry. Like I almost did. All right, that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.